And we arrived out here a little bit ago. It was pretty quiet. With media that were gathering here and some of the folks who have been holding ground here since last year. Everyone was just kind of holding in their emotions. But just a minute ago, we had a young lady that just stepped in here, here at the mural that's down here at the site where George Floyd died, and she is now talking to the crowd, asking them to pray. If you believe in God, asking them to pray that everything goes in the favor that these folks want this verdict decision to go to. And so that's what she's doing right now. She is leading them in a prayer session here right now, and just really hoping for the best in this verdict that we're all awaiting here.
We had a reporter on earlier, Madison Carter, who was saying that a lot of people went to George Floyd Square today because they just felt they had to do something, and sitting home on their phones didn't feel very productive. It looks like there's a pretty healthy sized crowd there behind you right now, Devon.
Yeah, there is a pretty decent crowd, and the crowd actually is continuing to grow as word is spreading that a verdict is in. We are seeing more people that are starting to make their way down here to 38th in Chicago to not only pay their respects, but to be a part of this historic moment.
Hey guys, how are you doing? We will be watching what happens today. You guys are going to have to forgive me. I had some dental work done today, so I was not planning on coming on live today. But this is very necessary, so I need you guys to bear with me. So, Butterflyness Kimberly President. Hey, how y'all doing? So I'm using the footage from Unicorn Riot because they are a nonprofit organization and they have been following this case from the beginning. They've actually been following it since the day that it happened. So I'm going to show it from their live stream and encourage you guys to go and check them out. Um, so the jury is set to come up with they have a verdict. The judge is already in the courtroom. So they're just waiting on some things. Um, the defense is already setting things up for an appeal. We saw that the other day. Um, they're going after some things that Maxine Waters said, pretty much saying that she's trying to incite some things. He basically said that let me see if this has sound, y'all. basically saying that the black attorney Blackwell, he said that Blackwell was basically mocking him, and he was looking to appeal. Actually, he asked for a mistrial based on that. So, regardless of what anyone has said at this point,
the military, join your community. Find some beauty in your community.
So we heard Sam talking about giving them something they don't want to cut down earlier. Here's the dog tag, and here's the National Guard.
so basically, he was trying to. He asked for a mistrial. He knew it was a shot in the dark. He knew that wasn't going to happen, but it was basically because the guy said that he was throwing a lot of stories out there and stuff like that. He kind of tried to use that. He threw every trick out there that he could, basically. I mean, that's his job, y'all. That's his job. But no one can say, I mean, let me take that back. You can say what you want to say, but no one can say that
the survivor's guilt, or they died just
that the prosecution didn't do their job, because they did their job and then some.
Vanessa Guillen,
And then some.
Laverne Johnson, my best
They
friend,
opened
and
with authority
that
and
stood
they
next
closed
to
with
me as a
authority.
sergeant. And when
And
she
I
died,
think that the way
I
that
had
they
to look
did
to my
their
left every morning. When I gave my report every morning,
closing
I had to look
statements,
to
their
my left,
closing
and my sister was
arguments,
gone. She was 20 years
I
old.
think that the jury felt
She didn't
that.
get to become the
I'm
doctor she
pretty
wanted
sure
to
they
become.
felt it. I know I
guarantee
felt.
you that if she was still here
So
today, she'd be standing right beside me. But instead, she's on a fucking dog tag. Say that. She's on a dog tag. And my sister is
they
not
were
here.
supposed to
And I used to stand there in that same uniform.
let us know what the verdict is
for 4
between
years of my
3:30 and
life.
4. So again, basically
Because I
we're
wanted to get
just
an education
looking.
and go to college. And what I
A lot
got
of the
was
businesses that are around the area, they have shut
They didn't
down.
value me at all.
A lot of the government employees have been told to go home. People have boarded up the windows. Hey, Shamika, how you doing? People have boarded up the windows, boarded up whatever they could because they didn't know how things were going to turn out. At this point, nobody knows. Nobody knows how things are going to turn out. Again, I had some dental work done today, so don't think I'm being ghetto, but I'm trying to hold things together right here because I'm still numb. So
we can't keep militarizing. Y'all know this is bullshit. Putting y'all here, making you sleep on floors, making you stand there as if you're doing anything.
We're just watching again. I have the stream coming from Unicorn Riot. Unicorn Riot is a non-profit organization, and I literally I've been watching them since the situation happened with George Floyd on May 25th. They have been on it every single day. They have been at the demonstrations. They have been following the family. They've been following everything. So I think it's only right that at least I do my due diligence and make sure that they get some type of credit for the work that they've been doing during this time. So we're sitting here waiting.
We're all American people because we're here with our boots on the ground, with $1 million worth of this shit that we gotta pay for. The $35 million it costs for us to pay for you.
What do you guys think the verdict is going to be? Remember, he has 3 charges. He has 3 charges that he's up against. So what do you guys think the verdict is going to be? Considering the fact that the jury, you could say this was a long time, but I don't really think this was a long time considering. What do you think the verdict is going to be he is facing,
That could have easily been on the other side of that fence if they had the
he
opportunity.
has charges of second-degree murder, third-degree murder, and second-degree manslaughter.
Because they're wrong.
Right now, that's what they are deliberating on. Well, have deliberated on, and we're just waiting for them to announce the verdict. So what are you guys thinking at this point? Let me check my chat and make sure I'm good.
Yes. Yes.
All right, sorry about that. I had to check my chat and see, make sure the you guys could get the sound. I'm really undecided at this point. I pray that he is found guilty and he gets the time he deserves. Okay. I could be wrong, and I may end up having to go back and no, I won't go back and change it. I think he's going to be found guilty. If not all counts, I think he's going to be found guilty of at least 2. I'm praying all, but I think he's going to be found guilty on at least 2 counts. But we'll see. I think the sad part is that a lot of people have been paying attention to a lot of other things that have been going on, and you have something that's really important that's going on right now, and
the verdict to get read out
this
shortly.
doesn't seem to be
The back-end video system from the court pool video has been a little strange, so we're just going to keep on trying to keep it connected, but if it drops, don't be surprised.
a necessity for some people. Hey, Tori, how you doing?
Us. And if you aren't familiar with Unicorn Riot, take out a look at our website, unicornriot.ninja. We keep a lot of stuff going in there.
Again, I'm letting all the stuff play from Unicorn Riot because I want them to get credit for all the work that they've done.
Come on, video feed. You can do it now. Today is the day. Sorry.
Making sure that
we have a
people were
news story
abreast of what's been going on.
What happened with the media and all that, all the problems
what's
there.
Been going on with the case
during Operation Safety Net. We have a nice, much more relaxing 4-hour live stream from the Asian Solidarity Rally down at George Floyd Square. And I think we will probably be able to bring you George Floyd Square in a little bit. I will check in on that. I'll see if I can bring it in soon enough, hopefully. And again, we're just waiting right now for this whole thing to come down. Someone saying the jurors didn't ask questions. I'll assume that is probably true, considering how fast it went. So everyone just hang in there. We're going to keep on staying connected with this. We have seen the judge appear on the live stream. I've seen reflections in the plexiglass, which is usually a sign that the defendant is in the room. So obviously they're going to have the family coming back. They're going to have, the whole world's media seems to be present right now in this whole thing. So we're just going to hang here. We're going to run, I think, the reporter reflections series. That's what we'll hold on while we're
Everybody's
waiting here.
good, Tori. How are our little babies
just
over
hang
there?
in there. We should really have it within the next 20 minutes or so. And thank you all for joining us. Again, I'm Dan at Unicorn Riot, and we really appreciate your support. If you want to see these previous days, right, we tried to run
feeds.
So we're
from
going to
jury
be
selection,
going. I'm just
from
going live
all
with
the
this.
different
Like I said,
points,
I had no
along the
intention
process, as
of
long as we
going
had
live. I've
access.
been
A
waiting
rare
on the verdict.
opportunity to go into the Minnesota court system.
So
And
excuse the
it's been
face,
fascinating
excuse
to
the hair.
follow
Y'all
that
see I'm
process.
sitting
So
up
if you
here.
give
I'm
me 1
cold. I
second,
got my
I'm just
jacket
gonna
on.
take care of some backhand
I
things
was
here
wrapped
as we
up.
keep our fingers crossed that the video
I was
feed
wrapped
system
up.
will chill out, stabilize. Okay, great. We are, and yeah. Give me 1 second.
Trying to make sure I don't have
running
any
beyond the
mishaps up
barricades, and
here.
then
So I
we'll try
got
to
my
bring it to you
little.
live in a moment, please. Thank you all so much for your support, everyone.
Stuff going on over here, but I think it's important to show this. So I'm looking at some of the comments over there, and I would put them on the screen, but some people just reckless with their comments, so I won't put those comments up. You have some people encouraging violence on the streets. Nate Dickens, hey, how you doing? How you doing? I think one good thing that was said yesterday by the prosecution during their closing is Blackwell made a comment that, I think it was Blackwell. He said that this isn't a trial, that it's not Derek Chauvin against the.
That ain't got nothing to do with the
Let me
war
see,
that I'm sitting in.
because I don't want to say the wrong thing.
Because it's been systematically built for this to be a war zone. Just like right now, we interfere with a whole light rail that goes up right now, right here up Chicago. That's why they want us to move so bad. Trying to move the black people out of here in silence. But now we were.
I think he said something like, this isn't the state against the police department, it's the state against Derek Chauvin. Making sure that the jurors and everybody remembers that this isn't about a whole police force being on trial right now. This is about holding the person that did this stuff, or the people, because it was more than one. Holding those people accountable for their actions, and for people to really focus on that, because at the end of the day,
and I'm okay with that. So after this verdict,
you gotta handle things one by one. You gotta, you know what I'm saying? You gotta crawl before you walk. So it's important to focus on the things that are pertinent at this time. So a couple of things that they went over yesterday, and I'll touch on those real quick while we're waiting.
We're just adjusting it a little bit as it comes in. Give us one moment here, but yeah, this is live right now. Thank you.
Okay, while we're waiting, one of the things that the prosecution pointed out, Roland Bishop, how you doing? That's right, justice for George Floyd. One of the things that the prosecutors pointed out in their closing argument, they took it back to Nelson, the defense attorney, and basically, told the jury, like, they can't have it both ways. If you're saying that some drugs were found in the car, then how are you trying to say that he OD'd on some drugs? Either the drugs were in the car and he didn't get a chance to take them, or he OD'd. Like, you can't have it both ways. And basically what the defense attorney, Mr. Nelson, was trying to do was really confuse the jury. And basically he was saying, like I said to you guys before, what are you going to believe, me or your own eyes? So he was basically telling them, don't believe what you saw.
right there is Chauvin.
Think about all the stuff that
This is Mylisha, George Floyd Square.
that we put out there. And
Speaking right now.
Michelle, hey, how you doing? How you doing? I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
The WYPIO. I think I
Um,
spelled it wrong. White people. 2 different set of people. So the white people.
something else that was
They ain't send nobody. They ain't even send the police. They ain't send the police. They got to be comfortable.
pointed out. Nelson was throwing everything out there, y'all. How do you? He said that the prosecution has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. Let me give this disclaimer again, y'all, so y'all won't think I'm off. Okay, I'm barefaced on here today. I'm not trying to be cute. I had some work done, some dental work done today, so this side is numb. Okay, so yeah, don't think I'm slow today. I just want to make sure that we were all together while this verdict was coming in.
It might be similar.
But Nelson was throwing all this stuff out to confuse the jury. How do you know that it wasn't excited delirium? How do you know that it wasn't from the carbon monoxide from the back of the police car? How do you know that it wasn't fentanyl? How do you know that it wasn't meth that killed him? How do you know that it wasn't his heart that killed him? How do you know he didn't have a heart attack? Because the medical professionals say he didn't have a heart attack. How do you know that it wasn't? I mean, he was throwing all these things out there, even to the point of saying that, okay, yes, Chauvin did do it, but because of the crowd, he lost focus and he was unable to determine or notice that Floyd had stopped breathing. He threw everything at the wall. Like, he did his job because he knew that they did not have a leg to stand on. So he was working with what he had. And I know it pissed people off to see it, but that's what I was saying before. You have to kind of, whenever it was the defense's turn, you kind of have to prepare yourself for it because they have a job to do. And he did what he could with what he had, but the prosecution brought that case. The prosecution came and spoke on indifference, and they started showing video footage, and they showed the moment where Floyd was saying, "I can't breathe. Oh, my neck hurts. My this hurts. My that hurts." And Chauvin was like, "Uh-huh. Well, you wasting your breath trying to complain," or something to that extent. They played that to show that he was indifferent. He didn't give two flips about that man's life. But he can't say that he didn't understand what was going on with him because you acknowledged when he told you that he was hurt, and everything that he said he was feeling, like you acknowledged it. So that is definitely showing indifference. You don't care one way or the other. You are completely.
All y'all media people out here, all these resources, all this network, everybody knows somebody. Like just like right now, I bet somebody out here.
What the prosecution also talked about was culpable negligence, intentional conduct that an ordinary person will recognize has a strong probability of causing injury to others. That's basically what they were trying to prove to the jury, that a reasonable person, the sane person, has enough common sense to know that putting your knee on somebody's neck while they're down in a prone position, pushing their face, pushing their body into the sidewalk, grinding your knee into their neck, you know that there's a high probability that that person is going to be hurt. Whether they actually die or not, you know that person is going to be hurt. You know that you're doing some damage. So intentional conduct that an ordinary person would recognize has a strong probability of causing injury to others. And another thing that they said that I thought was strong, let me turn this down for a minute. Another thing that they said that I thought was strong, the prosecution said, he told the jury, he said, I want you to ask yourself something. Ask yourself, was this okay? Was this okay? If this had not been a police officer, if he was just a regular citizen in the street that was doing this, would you think it would be okay for him to do it? Overlook the fact that he was a police officer because he's no longer a police officer. Overlook the fact that he was a police officer at the time. If these were just two men, they were two men in the street, do you think this would be okay? If somebody was doing this to you, would it be okay? Then you add in the fact that he was a police officer and ask yourself, was it okay? My thoughts on that is that it should have you more angry that he was a cop at that time. And nobody's going to tell me that they would be okay with somebody putting their knee in their neck. I know for me, you can't put your hands around my neck, joking or not. So, no. The defense came and said something about superhuman strength. Now, I can tell you, I had a moment of epiphany here, too, because when I describe situations that I've been in and I've had to like restrain somebody or do something, I would often say that the person had superhuman strength because that's just like a common term. But listening to the defense, something that he said made sense. Like there's no such thing as superhuman strength. You know, people have they have an adrenaline rush and maybe they don't feel pain during that adrenaline rush. But we have to be careful the way that we word things. And that superhuman strength was in reference to him having excited delirium, which he did not have. But it made me think about the way that even I use those terms whenever I'm describing a situation. Like, oh yeah, that person, like they have this superhuman strength. Like it's like we're saying that we got unicorns out here. They may have some extra strength and maybe those pain sensors aren't registering to their brain like, okay, you're hurting or whatever. But it was something that I know the jury took note of because the way he put it out there, yeah, let's not say that those people have superhuman strength. Let's not do that. Something else that the prosecution said, I think it was I can't remember the guy's name, but it was deep. He said that the bystanders, the people that I refer to as victims, he said the bystanders were randomly chosen. Randomly. They were randomly chosen by fate to witness this 9 minutes and 29 seconds of Floyd's life. And he said, according to all the people that knew Floyd surrounded himself with people that loved him, with people that cared about him. And even in that moment, although it may have seemed that like he was by himself, he actually had people, not the people that were on top of him, but he had people around him that were compassionate. He had people that were concerned about their, his well-being. He had people that felt powerless because even though they saw that something was being done wrong, they were still trying to, have some respect for the badge. And then they didn't know what would happen to them if they tried to physically intervene. He had people around him that were desperate to do something, yet all they could do was watch. And on top of that, they watched and they memorialized everything that they could. They pulled out their phones. They started recording. They made sure they watched everything because they knew that eventually this day was going to be coming and that they would at least have a chance to come and speak up for him. And that's exactly what they did. They came and spoke up for him. The bystanders, the police officers, the paramedic, like the people that knew what happened was wrong, they came and spoke up to him. So he still had some level of compassion that was still around him, even in this moment. Even in this very moment right here, he still had those people that were trying to fight to get those, I don't even know what to call them, to get those off of him. So I think that was pretty deep when he put that out there, because these people didn't have to tell their story. They didn't have to record. They didn't have to let people know that they had recordings. They didn't have to do that. They didn't have to do that. He also let them know that, everybody has a certain degree of power. The attorneys have a certain degree of power. The judge has power. But the biggest thing that he honed in on is that as a jury, you have the power to decide if this is okay. You have the power to decide whether or not Derek Chauvin is going to be convicted of these crimes. He let them know that power was in their hands. That particular thing was in their hands. And he asked them, who are you going to believe? What are you going to believe? What this defense attorney says to you because he's trying to look out for his client, or are you going to believe your own eyes? There is no denying what the whole world saw from all these different videos. And if you can allow someone to convince you that what you saw wasn't actually what you saw, then that's a problem all in itself. That's a problem all in itself. The defense attorney, he kind of threw some crazy stuff out there, y'all. He was literally trying to confuse the jury. He was talking about space aliens maybe entering Derek Chauvin's body, getting his attention. Like, he was just throwing some off the wall stuff out there. He even talked about this trial being like baking chocolate chip cookies. And if, you got to have butter, you got to have this, you got to have that. And if you don't have all those things, basically he was trying to have his Johnny Cochran moment where if the glove doesn't fit, you must quit. But I'm sitting here thinking, bruh, you don't have to have all that stuff. You don't have to have milk, and you don't have to have all that stuff. No, not chocolate chip cookies these days. It's all wrapped up in one little pack, and all you got to do is scoop them out the little thing and put them in the pan. So we don't have to go through all that. So you can't have that, he's trying to have that tagline, that major line. That was an epic fail. It didn't work. It did not work. One of the other things I noticed, you guys that have been watching the trial, we've spoken on it before. Derek Chauvin, whenever someone was getting up testifying to what he did, you could not pay that man to lift his head up and look at those people. He kept scribbling on that notepad. That's what we've been discussing, him scribbling on that devilish notepad. Like he's an actual attorney sitting over there taking notes. But when the defense got up and did his closing, the whole time that Mr. Nelson was up there, Derek Chauvin had his head up and Nelson had his undivided attention. He was all in. And all of it. At certain times, you caught him leaning in. Now, as a person that deals with communication, and that means that he was actively listening once he starts leaning in. So I guess the rest of the stuff didn't matter to him because he sat back and he just acted like he was distracted by all his doodling and all this stuff. But at this particular time, he leaned in because it was like he was buying what his attorney was selling, even though he knew it was a bunch of bull. a bunch of buffalo on a stick. And the one thing that, again, if you guys were paying attention, all these days that this trial has been going on, Chauvin has been sitting over there with his mask on. Well, at the closing, again, this is all part of the show. He didn't have his mask on. So at this particular point, he wanted the jury to see him. His attorney wanted to make sure that the jury saw him, that they saw him as a human. Now you can wear the mask whenever all this stuff is being said about what you did to George Floyd, and the truth is coming out. But when it comes time for you to want some type of understanding or some type of empathy from the jury, now all of a sudden you're taking your mask off and you want people to see you. I mean, you had times during the trial that people that were there when this stuff happened, they didn't even realize that Derek Chauvin was sitting over at the table beside a defense attorney because they didn't recognize him with his mask on. So he had to stand up, they had to point him out, or he had to take his mask down for a few seconds so that they could identify who he was. So it was interesting that at that point, during the closing arguments, that this was the time that they decided to take the mask off, which is important to me. As long as the mask comes off. That was a strategic move on their side. For me, it was the truth. Mask off and let people see who you really are. You're the guy that decided to take another man's life because you could. You didn't care that there were video cameras there. You didn't care that people were recording. You didn't care that people were telling you that the man couldn't breathe. You didn't care that he was telling you that he couldn't breathe. You didn't care because when you had your knee on this man's neck, you could feel his pulse. You could feel it. And you felt when it stopped too. So I think it was important for them, mask off. Let people see your face. You've been hiding the whole trial. Let people see your face. It's time. And that's why I said it was, to me, it was a good thing that he chose not to get on the stand. Maybe there was somebody that was curious about what he wanted to say, but no. The defense attorney did enough with the spin and all that. We didn't need anybody else. Enough was enough. Like, thank you for not getting on the stand. I'm gonna turn this up so y'all can hear what they're saying right now.
Who's streets? I need you to come out here to make sure you know these is our streets. Where you at, brother? Whole streets, we need you to come over here. Can I get one of my
You see the
boys
distance
to
right in the background of these folks is the greenhouse. We got you can see the bookshelf over here, community bookshelf. Community over here. Just place there.
So at this point, you see the split screen. They're waiting again. That other screen is inside the courtroom.
I love you guys. Thank you for being here.
And I'm gonna put this up full screen for a minute. Again, this is Unicorn Riot. They have been following what's been going on with George Floyd since the day that this incident took place.
longest standing autonomous zone in American history besides intentional communities, from my understanding.
So, there's the judge. There's the judge.
That's the moniker out here. No justice,
Okay,
no
y'all.
streets. There's 24 demands that this community is holding.
So y'all see Derek Chauvin in the courtroom right now. You see the defense attorney. They're standing up. So the judge has apparently called.
Police to tell all y'all, do something.
Okay, Unicorn. Okay, come on now. All right, God, we need you to show up and show out on this one. You got to show up and show out on this one.
All right, please be seated.
Anybody that's on this live right now, I just need y'all to put some praying hands in this live, because we're going to watch God do his work on this one. So just put some praying hands in this live.
Members of the jury, I will now read the verdicts as they will appear in the permanent records of the 4th Judicial District. State of Minnesota, County of Hennepin, District Court, 4th Judicial District. State of Minnesota plaintiff versus Derek Michael R20-12646. We, the jury, in the
Oh, come on.
.44 p.m. Signed, juror 4-person, juror number 19.
We didn't hear it.
Same caption, verdict count 2. We, the jury, in the above entitled matter as to count 2. Find the defendant guilty. Verdict agreed to this 20th day of April 2021. Signed by jury 4-person, juror number 19. Same caption, verdict count 3. We, the jury, in the above entitled matter as to count 3. Second-degree manslaughter, culpable negligence, creating an unreasonable risk. Find the defendant guilty.
Yes!
To this 20th April 2021
Yes!
at 1:45
Yes!
p.m. Jury 4-person 019. Members of the jury, I'm now going to ask you individually if these are your true and correct verdicts. Please respond yes or no. Juror number 2, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 9, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 19, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 27, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 44, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 52, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 55, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Whew.
Juror number 79, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 85, are these your
What
true
you
and correct
guys
verdicts?
missed, he is guilty
Juror
on
number
all
89, are these your true and
counts,
correct
all
verdicts?
charges. Guilty.
Juror number 91, are these your true and correct verdicts?
All charges.
Juror number 92, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Are these your verdicts? So say you one, so say you all.
Yes.
Members of the jury, I find that the verdict says
Oh, I don't know why it keeps cutting out. Let
thank
me.
you on behalf of
Oh.
people of the state of Minnesota for not only jury service, but heavy duty jury service.
Mm.
What I'm going to ask now is call the deputy back to your usual role, and I will join you in a few minutes to answer questions and to advise you further. So, all rise for the jury.
We need to see him get those bracelets on, and it'll be all right. He just put the bracelets on. My God.
All right, be seated. With the guilty verdicts returned, we're going to have Blakely, you may file a written argument as to Blakely factors within 1 week. The court will issue findings on the Blakely factors, the factual findings, 1 week after that. We'll order a PSI immediately returnable in 4 weeks. And we will also have a briefing on, after you get the PSI, 6 weeks from now, and then 8 weeks from now, we will have sentencing. We'll get you the exact dates in a scheduling order. Is there a motion on behalf of the state?
State would move to have the court revoke the defendant's bail and remand him into custody.
Immediately.
Bail is revoked, bond is discharged, and the defendant is remanded to the custody of the Hennepin County Sheriff.
Put the bracelets on.
Thank you.
Put the bracelet. Thank you. Let people see him get those bracelets on. Oh my God. Oh. Yes.
Kitty bookshelf is that little blue house. That fence right behind it. We're putting locks of anyone that shows up, whether or not it's from police violence, whether or not it's your mom or your dad or anything. Bring a lock and put it on that fence because we've been holding this down for over a year now. I'm
gonna take this back because I want y'all to actually hear the whole thing because it was cutting out.
It's about so much.
Oh Lord have mercy.
Heard the state request of the judge that bail be revoked.
Because he inherited a very broken Department of Justice, especially in the area of civil rights. And one example.
Jesus.
Members of the jury, I will now read the verdicts as they will appear in the permanent records of the 4th Judicial District. State of Minnesota, County of Hennepin, District Court, 4th Judicial District. State of Minnesota Plaintiff versus Derek Michael Chauvin, Defendant. Verdict, count 1. Court file number 27, CR 20-12646. We, the jury, in the above entitled matter as to count 1, unintentional second-degree murder while committing a felony, find the defendant guilty. This verdict agreed to this 20th day of April, 2021 at 1:44 p.m. Signed, juror 4-person, juror number 19. Same caption, verdict count 2. We, the jury, in the above entitled matter as to count 2, third-degree murder perpetrating an eminently dangerous act, find the defendant guilty. This verdict agreed to this 20th day of April, 2021 at 1:45 p.m. Signed by jury 4-person, juror number 19. Same caption, verdict count 3. We, the jury, in the above entitled matter as to count 3, second-degree manslaughter, culpable negligence, creating an unreasonable risk, find the defendant guilty. This verdict agreed to this 20th day of April, 2021 at 1:45 p.m. Jury 4-person 019. Members of the jury, I'm now going to ask you individually if these are your true and correct verdicts. Please respond yes or no. Juror number 2, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 9, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 19, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 27, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 44, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 52, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 55, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 79, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 85, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 89, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 91, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 92, are these your true and correct verdicts?
Yes.
Are these your verdicts? So say you one, so say you all.
Yes.
Members of the jury, I find that the verdicts as read reflect the will of the jury and will be filed accordingly. I have to thank you on behalf of the people of the state of Minnesota for not only jury service, but heavy duty jury service. What I'm going to ask you to do now is to follow the deputy back into your usual room, and I will join you in a few minutes to answer questions and to advise you further. So all rise for the jury. All right, be seated. With the guilty verdicts returned, we're going to have Blakely, you may file a written argument as to Blakely factors within 1 week. The court will issue findings on the Blakely factors, the factual findings, 1 week after that. We'll order a PSI immediately returnable in 4 weeks. And we will also have a briefing on, after you get the PSI, 6 weeks from now, and then 8 weeks from now, we will have sentencing. We'll get you the exact dates in a scheduling order. Is there a motion on behalf of the state?
Your Honor, the state would move to have the court revoke the defendant's bail and remand him into custody pending sentencing.
Bail is revoked, bond is discharged, and the defendant is remanded to the custody of the Hennepin County Sheriff. Anything further? All right. Thank you.
So there you have it. The jury in Hennepin County in Minneapolis finding Derek Chauvin guilty on all 3 counts: second-degree unintentional murder, third-degree murder, and second-degree manslaughter. Guilty in all 3. You can see him being led away there in the courtroom. He had been out on bail. You heard the state request of the judge that bail be revoked and that he be taken into custody, which is exactly what the judge decided to do. You can see the counts up on your screen right now. The jury deliberating yesterday afternoon and then began deliberating again early this morning, but it was a short period of time before we learned that they had come to a unanimous conclusion. Clearly, they thought that the case made by the prosecution and perhaps that final closing argument, that rebuttal from Jerry Blackwell when he said to the jury, it's as simple as what that 9-year-old girl, one of the bystanders, said that she heard the paramedics say when they arrived there more than 9 minutes after that knee was put to George Floyd's neck. She said that she heard paramedics say, get off of him. Of course, in the hours and the days to come, we will learn more from that jury, what they were thinking over the course of this 3-week trial. But we want to look at the reaction coming in from Minneapolis. This was the scene in South Minneapolis just moments ago. They had described obviously erupting.
Let me just pause this for a second. I have to say this because to a lot of people, this doesn't matter. And I apologize for getting upset, but I have worked in some manner of law enforcement for over 20 years. And you fight, and you fight, and you fight, and you get drugged whenever you say something about people not doing stuff right. You get drugged, you get blackballed whenever you try to point out people doing stuff wrong. And sometimes we get it right. So when I know people are saying this is just one time, don't get excited. But I've seen a lot, and to see one time that they got it right, it's been a long time coming. It has definitely been a long time coming. And this won't make up for all the stuff that has been done to other people. But I told you guys I felt like there was a shift going on. This is that shift that I was talking about. And it may not mean anything to certain people. It means everything to me. Everything. It means everything. And I know it means everything to his family. I know it does. I'm just gonna let some of this play. And I'm gonna get off here and go and take this pain medicine. One second.
It turns a new page. It does show police officers specifically that you can and will be held accountable. And we will apply the proper peaceful pressure for that to happen. We're not gonna just let a badge and a gun let murder be okay. It's not acceptable, and we won't accept it. So I think this is really a good example of what community looks like. I think that we have a bunch of very fearless Black women leaders out there. Thina and Tay are mine at Visual Black Justice, and I could not have been more proud to stand by their side. I will keep standing by their side, and we'll keep fighting this fight because it's not over.
Thanks so much, Nate. What are you going to do now?
We're going to go celebrate for a little bit, regroup, and there's more to come because Visual Black Justice doesn't take a break. So.
All right, thanks so much. As you can hear, there are horns honking around me and people chanting George Floyd and starting to march and a lot of people just crying, Libby.
All right, Hannah Jewell, thank you so much. Live for us in Minneapolis, and you can see the live images there. If you're just joining us, let's recap. The jury has found Derek Chauvin guilty on all 3 counts. You can see there, 2nd-degree murder, 3rd-degree murder, and 2nd-degree manslaughter. He was remanded into custody. Let's go to Mary Beth Albright for more on what cemented this case. You know, we heard Keith talk about this overwhelming video evidence, not just the bystander video that became so famous from Darnella Frazier, but so many other videos as well. Mary Beth, body cam footage, security footage. Mary Beth, what do you see as the defining elements that showed the jury Derek Chauvin was guilty?
Well, it's interesting, Libby, because when we go back to those elements that we talked about, the different the causation that we discussed, that was the cause of death. Sorry, I see my dog that going around in the background.
Y'all. This is what we did, y'all. Yeah. Made that 929 mean something. I am going to get off of here. I just want you guys to take note and remember what happened today, April the 20th, 2021. A former police officer, a former member of law enforcement, who decided to do his own thing and take the life of another person like he wasn't human. On April 20th, 2021, we finally saw the justice system work. We're a part of this. We're a part of history on this. Write it down. Don't forget it. And this is just the beginning. I'm telling you, there is a shift that's taking place right now. We are a part of it, and we cannot, we can't get tired. We can't afford to get tired. Like I said the other night, we have too much at stake at this point. So, yeah. I'm going to get off here before I start getting all emotional again. So I thank y'all for tuning in. Watch all the videos. Watch and celebrate. Like, shoot, go get your drink. Go look at me advocating drinking. Go get your drink. Just go do something. Go pour something out for George. Just, God is good. All the time. Know this. Lord have mercy. Hoping you guys share this video. This isn't even about getting some new subscribers or anything today. I really wanted to just share this with you guys as this verdict was read out. I think at this point, I think God is pleased. Yeah. So I thank you guys for tuning in, and hey Keisha, Sunshine. Thank y'all for tuning in. I'm gonna go and lay down, okay? But I appreciate y'all, and we'll see you next time. Bye. Remember, justice for George Floyd. Hashtag it everywhere you go. Justice for George Floyd. We did that, and I'm saying we did that. Until next time.